Tameside Radio Sports Talk with Betfred. Visit your local Betfred shop today for a variety of great offers and check out our app for great features like Pick Your Punt Builder. Whenever you bet, Betfred. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
Hello and welcome. This is Sports Talk with me, Lewis Connell, and as always, I'm joined by Peter Spencer from Betfred. How did say, Peter?
Great, thanks very much.
We'll start with the Betfred Super League. Lee Leopards' great run has officially come to an end, unfortunately. Defeated by Hull KR in the end, and Saints made it through as well against Warrington Wolves.
Yeah, interesting how it's reached a stage the season where the top four clubs in the actual league table are the four clubs who have made the semi-finals. So, as you rightly say, Hull KR, they defeated Lee. They got revenge for the Challenge Cup defeat in the final there. And so we've now set up for the two semi-finals, which is Catalans against St Helens and Hull KR against Wigan. The other way around, actually, because Wigan are at home. So the odds to win the grand final outright with Betfred are Wigan 7-4 favourites, followed by Catalans and Saints, both at 9-4, and Hull KR, they're 9-1. And for the actual games themselves, we have St Helens 11-10 to win in France, and Catalans 4-5. That's the game on Friday night. And in the other semi-final, which is on Saturday, Wigan against Hull KR, we have Wigan 4-11 and Hull KR 23-10. So we think the final will probably be between Wigan, and they're so tight, those two, but just Catalans.
St Helens they seem to be the sort of favourites at the start of the campaign, but they could be going out at the semi-final stage if Catalans, obviously they're great at home as well, they've got that home advantage. Yeah,
they have. Be quite a contrast between a rainy St Helens night, cold as well on Friday, and then the heat of France. But you should never really rule St Helens out. They have won the grand final 4 times on the bounce. This will be the 5th time. It'd be great if James Roby goes out on a bang with another grand final victory. But they are up against it against Catalans. So that'll be a huge, huge game. And remember, St Helens have got the big game mentality. The 4 grand finals I've already mentioned, but also they are the world champions. They won in Australia. So they have got that mentality. And of course, they overcame Warrington in their eliminator game last Friday. And that was a huge battle as well. So we'd never rule out St Helens.
Definitely. We'll move on to the Premier League now. It wasn't a great weekend at all for both Manchester clubs. We'll start with City. They lost 2-1 to Wolves, and they really missed Rodri in the middle of the park, it seemed.
Yeah, Rodri and De Bruyne as well. He's still battling to get back into the team. They're looking a little bit lacking now in the middle of the park. Betfred now are City 1-2, so clear favourites to win the Premier League or retain it. Arsenal 6-1, Liverpool 6-1. But the big news there is Manchester United. Well, they've drifted out to 100-1 to win the Premier League. Who would have thought that 2 months into the season, and United are 100-1 to win the Premier League? It wasn't so long ago where they were 9-1 or 10-1 to get the title. It is really going bad for Manchester United.
Yeah, it was quite an embarrassing performance on Saturday. Obviously losing 1-0 in the end, but you know they had 80-odd% possession for the rest of the game, and then they didn't even create one meaningful opportunity that I can think of. I think it was a header from Mason Mount, and that was it. Hoyland was making a lot of runs, and then the wingers were shooting when they should be crossing, passing when they should be shooting. It just didn't click at all for the front three, did it?
No, well, it certainly didn't, and I think Erik ten Hag has got his work cut out now. So huge pressure building on him. They played Galatasaray in the Champions League on Tuesday, back at Old Trafford. Old Trafford, it used to be such a fortress for Manchester United. Well, it's not this season, is it? Even to get into the top 4, United has slipped down our our list. City, Arsenal, and Liverpool are clear favourites. Now we've got Spurs there at 6-5, Newcastle 11-8, and Brighton 11-4, all ahead of United coming in at 7-2 to make the top four. It won't be so long off before we started quoting them for relegation. I mean, it's that bad at United.
Well, it looks like they might be having a similar season to what Chelsea did last year, unless they sort their ideas out.
But it's not just up front. The midfield looks lacking as well, and they've got all sorts of problems in defence. And he still won't bring Harry Maguire back, and he must be better than some of the ones they're putting in at the moment. Well, I'm not happy about the goalkeeper either. I think he's got a mistake in him.
Yeah, I think there's problems all over the field really, and even a lot of people said it'd change when new signing Amrabat came in, but he didn't look very impressive at all. He was just fouling everyone. He could have even been sent off. He tried sort of scooping the ball back with his arm to stop one of the Palace players going for own goal. I don't know how it wasn't a red card, but got away with that in the end. And obviously Mason Mount played okay, but it just still doesn't look right, that midfield. And Casemiro, you wonder if his days are sort of numbered.
Yeah, he always pops up with a goal though. I believe he's top goal scorer for United.
Yeah, he is,
that says it all.
I know.
But Rashford is a problem as well. He doesn't seem to hit the ground running at all this season. And when Gareth Southgate names his next England squad, I reckon that Rashford's position might be in jeopardy.
Definitely, yeah. And you mentioned Spurs there in the title odds. They've kind of come out of nowhere, really. Obviously beating Liverpool in the end in very controversial circumstances. What did you make of that game? It was seemingly like Liverpool got robbed.
Yeah, well, they're contesting both sendings off, certainly one of them. And then there's the offside. What strikes me about all this is that referees can't make mistakes. Players can make mistakes all the way through. Managers can make mistakes all the way through with the tactics coming wrong. Referee makes a mistake. Oh, it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
And you can't say that the referee's mistake is miles worse because it costs them the game. What about the manager's mistake where they maybe put the wrong player into defence or whatever, persuade an injured player to play, or a striker misses an attempt? Well, that also costs them points as well.
Well, I feel a bit sorry for Simon Hooper in a sense because he got a lot of stick for when he didn't give the penalty in the first game at United when Onana's sort of punched the guy in the face. But he's not the one who's operating the VAR, and they're showing him images like the red card, for instance. He's gone over to the monitor and they're playing slow motion clips of him just going in on his ankle. So it's going to look like it's a red card from those sort of images. I don't think they should be allowed to play slow motion clips on the VAR because it just gives a false impression, and he's already planted the seed in his head that it's dangerous from the still image of him looking at his ankle.
Why this is so different now, and why it led to the apology from the referee's body, was that he made his decision so quickly, and it's as if they didn't check the VAR. But if you want my real opinion, this was brought in to stop these debates, which just sparked more debates. It's like every single week we're banging on and on and on about VAR. If you look back in newspaper reports from even 20 years ago, the referee didn't even get a mention. It was just the footballers who got the talk. They didn't even have quotes from anybody. They just talked about the game. And that's what it's all about. You've got to take the decisions and just accept that you might get it in your favour next week. But of course that doesn't apply now. There's all sorts of talk about Liverpool suing and wanting the game replayed and all the rest of it. We want to think about all the missed chances that Liverpool had, and then the other team have every single week. The referee made a mistake. End the discussion. Move on. Hope that next time you get a decision that goes your way. We won't hear them all banging on about that down the other side of the East Land, will we? When it goes their way.
Well, I think they've had the rub of the green on plenty of occasions now, so we don't mind that. But moving on to the Champions League this week, as you mentioned, United facing Galatasaray at home. Obviously, just been beat by Palace, an ex-Palace player, arguably their best player. Wilfried Zaha has just signed for them, so you could have something to say at Old Trafford. And City are away at Leipzig. That should be a really tough game for them.
Yeah, it's not ideal preparation for either of the Manchester clubs going into those games. I think since you've got potentially the tougher game and they're out of form, having lost 2 games on the bounce, we don't say that very often, do you?
No.
But United at home will be under enormous pressure to start turning around their season because the Glazers get a lot of stick, but you cannot say they haven't invested in the team. They spend a fortune, and a lot of it is you feel for the manager in that some of these issues is in the making. But certainly the clubs, because they should have done due diligence on the various players who found themselves headlines not on the sports pages, shall we say. That diligence didn't happen before they signed various players.
Definitely, with Sancho in particular. But we have seen in recent hours that Anthony's supposedly going to be back in training. So that's someone else to come back into the fold. But he wasn't too impressive when he was playing anyway. So.
No. These players are clearly recommended by the manager, who's got to start thinking about the extra pressures and the spotlight being brighter when you're in the Premier League, and particularly playing for Manchester United. And you've got to have squeaky clean players who are going to enhance the image of the club as well as perform for the team.
Definitely. And just a word on the Ryder Cup. Obviously, Europe picking up that victory in the end. It was quite comfortable throughout the weekend, and it got a little bit nervy towards the end, but they got the job done. Yeah,
I know someone who was very, very nervy at the last stages of that, and that was the boss, Fred Doan, because he paid out on Saturday morning to a tune of £500,000 on a Europe win, because they were favourites. And then they end up, the Americans came back so strongly. I'm not saying they almost nicked it because they didn't, but it did get a squeaky bum type situation for the boss.
Definitely, yeah. And we've got a winner as well to just finish on. She's won £250,000 from a 5p bet.
Yeah, 5p unit stake bet for this lady from London, Lydia Barber. She's a language teacher. I went to see her in London on Saturday afternoon, and she's only the second time she'd been in a Betfred shop. And when she went in, she was with a Hungarian friend, as it happens, and he put this huge bet on. And she thought she'd have a go as well, but she didn't bet anything like as much. And then she went in on Saturday and didn't even bother checking a coupon. And it led to the manager recognising her, Gillian Keynes. She ran 200 metres when she was at school, and she said that it all came back to her when she went charging down the street in Croydon, followed her, found her, located her, and said, "You better come back and check your ticket, because I think you're the big winner."
Yeah.
And she did, and she came back in. She was the big winner. It was put through the till system, and they've now got, her and her husband have won themselves £250,000, and that was on the Nifty 50, which is a relatively new bet invented by Fred and Betfred, and this is the biggest winner we've ever had on that coupon. And there's not many bookies, if any, that allow a 5p unit stake bet. So she has come out of this with £250,000. I asked her what she's going to do with the money. Well, first of all, I asked her what she's going to celebrate. They said they can't afford champagne, and then she realised she could. So they're going to get some champagne. Maybe the free bottle that Fred gave her. But anyway, she's having she celebrated with champagne on Saturday night, and she's going to use the money to help renovate a property that they bought in Tuscany, and they might even buy another one in Scotland. They like renovating oldie worldy houses and flats.
Well, all the very best to them, and congratulations. And if you do fancy a bet, like that Nifty 50 bet there, you could be a winner like our great woman there. You can bet online on the app or in Betfred stores. And thank you very much, as always, for joining us. We'll see you on Friday, Peter.
No problem.
Thank you.
Tameside Radio Sports Talk with Betfred. Visit your local Betfred shop today for a variety of great offers, and check out our app for great features like Pick Your Punts Builder. Whenever you bet, Betfred. 18+, begambleaware.org.